We are back in the kitchen again. Where else would you see me? Well, again, I have moved it around a little bit, but you know this is my happy place. Welcome to my channel, everybody. My name is Vicki-Lynne. I am so glad you are here today because, well, of course, if you read the thumbnail, you already know, I am doing a recipe review of Forks Over Knives. And I love this book. I think I got this, was one of my very first plant-based books that I got. After I watched the movie. Very informative, really great recipes. So I'm actually going to review it and I'm going to give you my honest opinion on stuff. And some things I don't like, some things I do like. We're gonna go with that. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and scooch on over and hit that bell icon so you're notified every time one of my videos goes up. And you don't want to miss my videos. Let me tell you, I cook with no oil, following a plant-based diet, and I'm on a journey to lose some weight. I've already lost about 70 pounds. Good for me. I'm kind of at a plateau, so I'm really gonna start to try to kick it up in high gear. And I also want to lower my cholesterol, move every day, and just basically feel and get healthier. If you're on the same journey, then come along with us and let's do this together. You can also join us on our Facebook group down below. We do some challenges there. We just share our recipes and whatever we're eating, you know, on a day-to-day basis. Subscribe to the Facebook group and join us and have some fun over there. Because I already did all of this and I already started recipes, and when I went to put them on my computer, apparently my SD card was empty. It wasn't acknowledging anything. I don't know what's going on. If you've been here before, you know I am super technology challenged. So I fought with it for several hours and that wasn't working. It was winning. So I just decided, let's just start all over and see how things go. So I've already made 2 recipes from this book. And one were the oatmeal raisin cookies. So I do like my salt, not gonna lie, but I am a little bit of a sweet person. So I did make these and they were fabulous. You can tell there's hardly any left. I do try to limit myself 2 at a time. So those turned out really well. Let me just go to the back. I just want to give you like a brief. The only thing with that, yes, it wasn't so bad. It was only a ½ a cup of dry sweetener, which I used coconut sugar. The only other thing that, again, some people might not have is sorghum flour. That was in the recipe. I'm sure you could just add more oat flour to that one, but highly recommend that recipe. It was super delicious and lovely. I also made the corn chowder. Let me just, there we go. So with the corn chowder, I did have to improvise just a tad. I didn't have red peppers, so I didn't put those in. And the recipe actually called for like 4 to 5 tomatoes. I've never put tomato in my corn chowder before. But I only had 1 tomato at the time, so I did put that in. And it did turn out really good. But I think 4 or 5 tomatoes would have probably changed it a little bit. I don't know. I'm sure it would have tasted good. And the fresh herbs actually made that. You end up putting fresh basil in it at the end. And that was awesome. I still have some in my fridge. I'm going to finish that off in the next day or 2, but that one was definitely a winner. So follow along this week while I make recipes from Forks Over Knives. And if you haven't seen the documentary, apparently you've lived under a rock. But go watch the documentary. Also, like a lot of great information in there. It was one of the videos that really turned me around on my journey, and I hope it does the same for you. Hey, we are still cooking and eating from Forks Over Knives, and of course loving it. I have a recipe today. We're going to do, it says cherry pecan granola bars. I'm doing cranberries instead of cherries because that's what I have, and I have a big bag of cranberries. So, and those are like my favorite to snack on. So we're gonna make those, and what I've already done is put in 2 cups of rolled oats on a sheet pan in the oven to toast them, so that'll impart a lot more flavor. We are going to need an 8x8 pan, and I'm actually going to use parchment paper because it just makes it way easier to get them in and out of the pan. So the other day, I don't know if you were watching, I did try with parchment paper. I forgot what squares I was making. What was I making? And so I had watched a video where somebody explained that parchment paper is parched or dry and that you need to wet it. And that worked out really well. I made those, oh, I remember what I made. I made the, I can't believe it's not chicken from Sam's website, these banana chocolate chip kind of squares. They were delicious. And I wet the paper, and you know what? It was fine. It didn't affect the thing. But what I normally do is just scrunch up the parchment so that it fits better. So you're not not lifting all the time and causing you all that anguish trying to get it to stay in the container while you're pouring whatever you're pouring into it. So if you just scrunch it up a little bit, it will work much better. All right, so we have our oats in the oven. So it says to chop these up, and what we're going to do is cook them with some orange juice in a pot, and then we're going to blend them. So first we're going to blend these together. I did let it cool a little bit, just so it would work better in my blender. All right, so we're going to put our dates and our orange juice into a little blender. And again, I let this cool down because you don't want to blend anything that's boiling hot. It's a safety issue. It depends on the type of blender that you're using. I'm already loving this recipe because there's no nut butter in it. So it's low calorie dense, healthy, and obviously delicious and super simple to put together. So we're just gonna blend this and get our toasted oats. So after you toast your oats, just leave the oven on because this does come together very quickly. It doesn't take very long. The oats cool down. And so it doesn't actually make them super brown, but it was very fragrant, you can tell. All right. So now we're going to add in our date mixture. Now to this, we're going to add in our pecans. Again, I'm using cranberries. We're going to use our cranberries. You could use the cherries. A little bit of cinnamon. Well, who are we kidding? You guys know me. There's going to be a lot of cinnamon. And then just a little bit of allspice. Oh, I love the smell of allspice. It's so intoxicating. It's so wonderful. We're going to give this a nice mix. So for me, this looks like it's a little bit dry, but we will see. What I like to do is I like to, when I'm doing recipes, do them as they're written, because they're written for a reason that way. And then once I do them, then I like to tweak them. Because I would probably do more orange juice and more dates to make this a little bit different. But let's just see how well they stick together. So we're gonna spread that into our 8x8 pan. And you wanna push it down. Put it in the corners. Make sure you firm it up. Hopefully that'll get them to stay and not be crumbly. Now see you on the other side. All right, our delicious granola is all done. It does look great. I'm gonna let it cool in the pan before I cut them in slices, and we'll have a little taste test.
I don't know.
So we're trying, I got Ruben here. Hi, this is my husband, Ruben. And we're gonna try the granola bars that I made today. So I already took a little taste test. So these are just plain oatmeal granola bars. I've used cranberries in them. And they're pretty simple, and some pecans. They're pretty simple. I can already tell they're a little dry. So when I was making them, I already knew that the date paste that I was making didn't seem like it was enough to coat everything. So I would definitely just increase that. But we're gonna give them a try.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. Here we go.
So I like them, but they do need a little bit more of the date paste to hold it together better, making them a little bit moister, in my opinion. What do you think?
It's like, oh, they're really good. I like the nutty flavor, and I especially like the cranberry.
Yeah.
I like them more than raisins.
Well, no, you
I'm
don't
glad,
like raisins.
I know, so I'm glad you used cranberries instead of
Well, the
raisins.
recipe actually called for cherries, tart cherries, but I didn't have any. So again, use what you have. I know I morphed the recipe just a little bit, but I think it's a definite go-to for sure. Like, they're easy to make. They have no fat in them whatsoever because you're just using the dates and the orange juice to make the mixture to hold it together. So I would just increase the dates and the orange juice and give it more to hold it all together. Right?
Yes.
All right.
Really good.
We'll see you in the next recipe this week for Forks Over Knives. So we're going to make the North African chickpea and vegetable stew. And for that, we need to make a chimola sauce. Guys, somebody correct me down below. Not exactly sure. I've heard it before. Sometimes I have an issue with pronunciation. So we're going to throw that together. It does say to use a blender, and I could put it in my Vitamix to make it really smooth, I guess. But I am going to try the food processor. If it doesn't smooth it enough, I'll just throw it in the Vitamix. But I just want to see what it can do. So we're starting with 1 tomato chopped, about a cup or so of coriander. And in this recipe, definitely use the stems. There's more flavor in the stems. And you're going to get, yeah, just use all goodness. Just use all of your cilantro. You need the zest of 1 lemon, and I just zested 1 lemon, so we're all set there. We need some garlic, and lots of it. It calls for 6 cloves of garlic. We need the juice of a whole lemon. So it calls for 1 lemon juiced, so we're going to add that. And then we're going to blend it. If it needs a little more liquid, we can always add a little bit of the bottled lemon juice. And then we're going to add in all of our spices. And that happens to be like coriander and cumin and sweet paprika. This recipe actually calls for olives, but I'm allergic to olives, so we're not having olives. And I don't like them. Probably because I'm allergic to them. And I think that's it. Again, I'm still learning how it all fits together, but that's okay. We're gonna learn together, guys. Okay. I think it's doing the trick. Oh, that smells so good. Oh my God, that's like a flavor bomb of flavor. I think that looks delicious. Can't wait to use that. Just need to slice them as half moons. And because zucchinis cook down, I'm gonna make them just a little bit wider. The recipe also calls for mushrooms, which I've already washed and sliced. So we need a bell pepper. You could use red. I'm actually going to use yellow for a change. And again, guys, you know, you take a recipe and you make it your own. So sorry about that. That's a little loud. You make it your own. You make it super simple. You can adjust on recipes. There's suggestions. Yes, with baking you need exact measurements. Just going to cut these into strips. And then we need medium yellow onion. Again, whatever onion you have, cooking onions, sweet onions. Didn't have it, you could use granulated onion, dried onion, onion powder. Make it a little bit different, but that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna put that in my scrap bin. So if you've been here around, if you've been around here for a while, you know I keep all my scraps and I use it to make my own vegetable stock. So we're just gonna cut these into like half moons. You could leave them whole if you wanted to, but I just think it's easier. We have the rest of our ingredients here, so we're gonna get to the stove and start cooking. So because we cook with water instead of oil, which is very good for your body, always make sure you have, I always have a larger glass of purified water right beside my stove so I can just throw it in, because what you have to do is you're going to saute stuff, but you don't want it to dry or burn. So we're gonna put in the onions and the bell pepper and the mushrooms. We're gonna cook this down for about 8 minutes. Now we're going to add in our zucchini and our chickpeas. We're gonna let this cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. That looks really good. So now that's cooked with the chickpeas and the zucchini for about 10 minutes. And now I'm gonna add in the tremolo. And then blend that in. Then we're gonna let this cook for about another 5 minutes. All those flavors and spices meld together. So I'm going to try some of this stew. I'm trying to get a little bit of everything. So let me try this stew. Again, I think with the tremula, it's going to be delicious. Really great flavors, super fresh, good acidity, really good. Give this one a try. So we have finished our week of cooking with forks over knives, and of course I've enjoyed it. This is like basically the first book I got. I have tried a lot of recipes in here. Highly recommend, like the mushroom barley soup, which was really good. The tom yum soup I make over and over again. My husband raves about that one. And so this week we made the granola bars, we made the North African chickpea and vegetables stew. What else did we make this week? Oh, I made the corn chowder, I made some cookies. Again, the corn chowder and the cookie video, I don't know what happened to it. It got deleted somehow. Anyway, so that's not on there, but I can tell you that they were both really good. And highly recommend. So let me know, have you tried forks over knives, and what recipes have you tried? Because I want to know what you like in this book, or that I may have missed over the years. So for now, guys, see you in the next one.